We are very, very excited to have one of our brand new family members, our sister, Monika Lux. How are you doing, Monika?
I'm doing great, thank you. And I feel honored to be here today and talking to you.
Well, your program, in which we're going to get into here very shortly, when we first met, um, it was one of those programs that a light kind of lit up in my head that this is so perfect for what we're trying to do when it comes to Rediscover the Happy Place, which is our program to try to help people who are not feeling mentally as strong as they could be. Monika, you you migrated here from Germany. And what was the reason for coming to you're in Montreal, correct?
No, on Vancouver Island in
Ah,
British
Vancouver
Columbia.
Island. So I didn't just miss, but I missed by a country. So look at that. You're on Vancouver Island. What made you make the drastic change from Germany to Vancouver Island?
There were a lot of reasons why I came to Canada. And I think one of them was a generational reason because, I have a grandmother, and her father immigrated to the US, and he built up a pretty good business, but then he went back to Germany to fulfill a dream. He always loved to work with horses, and he had two big horse stables where he bred horses and trained horses. And then the war came along and destroyed everything. And he ended up as an extra in old German movies, which I find totally exciting. I never met my grandmother. My grandmother died exactly during the pregnancy. So when my mom was pregnant with me, my grandmother died. And that's why I have the middle name Marguerite. And I don't know, I was driven to leave my country and to live somewhere else and to finish something that was unfinished. And I knew it's the healing. I just knew it's the healing. This was one reason. The other reason is not really not really very important. It's just that I found Germany very crowded, very
Oh,
crowded and busy, and I don't know.
um, your grandfather, you said he was in movies. Was he in the Hitler propaganda movies, or was this prior to the Nazi Revolution?
No, it was well, some people would call it propaganda. I found the movie, the most important movie where he was in, I actually found in the US. I found somebody who owned the VHS tape and sent it to me, and I put it on DVD, and then I watched it. And I didn't find it as a propaganda movie. I found it was more a movie where you are just proud of the country you're living in, where your heart is, because it was about a writer who was very wounded during World War I, but a horse kind of saved his life, and the doctor said he would never be able to ride again, but he made it happen with a lot of strength and faith and hope, and he never gave up hope. So it's a movie about hope, which is the most important thing in our lives. And he got out of bed, and first he was on crutches, and one day, although the doctor said, if you mount a horse again, your spine could break and you could be paralyzed for life, he just risked it. And through coincidences, which are no coincidences in life, he found the horse that saved his life during the war, and he made it to a jumper. And he took part in the very first tournament, the jumping tournament in Switzerland. And he made it to place 1. So he won the tournament. And it was pretty moving for me, even though I was already in Canada when I saw this movie. But it was very moving. The band that was there and the audience had booed him out because, you know, Germany was not very favorable after the First World War. And they booed him out, and the band couldn't find the hymn. They couldn't find the German hymn, the notes. So they kind of played it by ear, and it didn't sound very, very nice. But I remember that tears were running down my face because he brought back this pride that we all have for our country. And that's why I think it's not a propaganda movie. It's a movie about pride and hope and achieving something unbelievable, going from almost being in the wheelchair to walking again, and to, you know, it's a healing journey. This movie is a healing journey, and it really connected me very closely to a great grandfather I never knew.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great. And you know, I mean, that's kind of one of the things that as soon as I wanted to get back onto the motorcycle, in which I wanted to do immediately, I wanted to you know, I wanted to get back on the motorcycle the day after the accident, you know, but of course I couldn't do it, you know, it would have been stupid for me to try. I didn't have any balance, and you know, things would have just been really ugly. But 3 months after the accident, against, you know, the wishes of everyone, you know, I got back on. And it's one of those things that I you know, I love with all my life. And one thing that I find very inspiring is that one of the organizations that we work with is the Veterans Ranch in Florida, which is horse therapy for our veterans. So, you know, it ties into that movie quite well. So I think that I think that's awesome. So when did you make this transition? When did you make the big move?
In 2007.
So you're still fairly new to the Western way of life then.
Yeah, I am. In a way, I am, yes.
What are some of the things that you picked up on immediately, and what are some of the things that you've continued to struggle with?
Hmm. What I picked up immediately was the sense of freedom, because everything is wider. It's just there is so much space. And I love this sense of freedom. I love going outside in nature, in parks, to rivers, to lakes. Here on Vancouver Island, I mean, I immigrated to Manitoba, but now on Vancouver Island, I have the ocean. I've since I was a little girl, I dreamt of the ocean, and now it's so close to me, and it's just amazing. And when I look over the ocean, I feel this freedom again, because it's
Mhm.
the horizon and the infinity of view you have. There is I don't know, but I feel limitless here. And in Germany, it was there was a house everywhere, and I don't know. I didn't have this feeling. So this was the first feeling I took up. The things I still struggle, which makes me angry, is the language, because I was so explicit and detailed in expressing myself in German, and I'm trying my best to transform this into the English language, but I still have moments where I'm like, I know this word, I know this word. Oh, it's not coming to me. So this is the main thing. I think one day I will get into a group for public speaking to train myself more. But I guess it's okay as a
Hey,
second
and
language.
this is just me. I think that you do beautifully. I really do. And one of the things to let you know, my son teaches English to children in Japan. I have a son who teaches English to children in Japan, and he struggles every once in a while because we'll say something over here and they won't have a word for it in Japanese. So
Yes.
there's a lot of times that we've got words in our language that it doesn't equate or it doesn't show itself in other languages. And so I think that that's what makes it very difficult. Plus, the English language that we have, you know, comes from so many different other languages, Spanish and Dutch and all these other, there's so many other words that make up our language. And so it makes it a little bit more difficult. I didn't realize until I was a little bit older that English is one of the more complex languages to learn, um, as a base language. Yet
Yes.
it's the language that is everywhere. Communist Russia, they have signs in Russia. I'm sorry, it's not communist yet, Russia, but in Russia they got signs that are in Russian, and then right underneath it is the translation in English. And it's just, you know, we are everywhere. We have, as Americans, we basically, you know, if there's not an American there, then it's undiscovered, but or an English speaking person. So, but I just want to let you know that I think that you do beautifully. You haven't struggled at all in either of our conversations that
Thank
we
you,
had.
thank
So
you. But you are so right. When I came to Canada and I started coaching and counseling people, I thought, oh my God, there isn't a word for this, or this doesn't feel like the German word. It's so interesting that we have an emotion behind the words, and it didn't feel like this. So what I always do is when I'm coaching or counseling somebody, I say, I give you a kind of a frame, but you please reframe it and you put it in your own words. That's what I always say, because I know I cannot express what the person is feeling. So I always encourage them to reframe it into their own phrases and how they would say it.
the things that you do has a lot to do with your emotions, though. So the way that you learn it, the emotion that you have in that is very important, is it not?
Yes, it is. It
You need
is
to, if
very important. Yeah.
yeah, so if you need to take and you need to adjust it to feel a certain way, it's so important, right?
Yes.
Well, Monica, we're at the point of the show where I would like for you to tell us a little bit about Balanching Mindfulness Institute. Give us a little bit of an idea on what your purpose, what your mission is, and what you would like to see more people help you help them accomplish.
So balanching, first of all, was already created in Germany. And because I always, or let me put it like this, my life was changed through energy healing. And the Chinese word for energy is qi. Like sometimes it's written differently. It's not chi, it's qi, or in Reiki in Japanese it's ki. So there are different methods of spelling it, but in the core, chi is energy, and everything I do is about balancing energies, because I believe in what the energy medicine says, that all our diseases start as an imbalance, an energy imbalance. So when we look at traditional Chinese medicine, we see all those meridians flowing through our body, and there are always two meridians coupled. Like, for example, bladder and kidney belong to each other and are a couple, or heart and small intestine. And as we are always in motion in life, they are never balanced. There's always an over energy and an under energy. And but when this imbalance becomes too harsh, like the pendulum goes from one side to the other side, and
And the little bit of disruption is going to make it swing, and
yes,
it's going to make it hit other things.
right. And when the disruption is too badly, then it manifests physically.
Right.
So what I see in my whole work is that most of the things really, they are rooted in our emotions that get trapped somewhere in the body. It's our emotional experiences, and they start so early. When we look at childhood development, and we see that between birth and 6 to 7 years, kids just absorb things, and between birth and 3 years, they are so dependent on their parents, on their caregivers, on everything they experience. And when the family is not functional, when there's dysfunction, imagine this ongoing trauma for a child. And that's kind of where I come from. I come from this constant trauma during the whole time I was at home. And at one point, I just I couldn't bear it anymore, and I adopted the one of the now 5 survival patterns, and this was blacking out. I just blacked out. Every time it was too much for me, I blacked out. And of course, no doctor would find anything. That's the thing. No doctor will find anything because it's a survival pattern.
Well, let me ask you this, and believe me when I say this, because my lifestyle, having my wife and having the circle that she has introduced me to, is this a little bit of like Wiccan thinking, possibly? I mean, there sounds like there's a lot of, when you start talking energy levels and stuff like that, it brings me back to it brings me into similarities of the Wiccan train of thought.
It's definitely metaphysical, and it's definitely connected to all shamanism that is existing in the world, I would say.
So,
I would more even say shamanism, because this was part even of my education in Germany, that we connected with nature. We looked at nature as a metaphor. for ourselves and our lives.
Well, I'm kind of feeling the irony right now that we are doing this on the Lunar New Year. So, you and I, we connected and we're doing this on the Lunar New Year. And I know that there are other people sitting there going, what the hell is this guy talking about? But with chi, that would just really make there's symbiotic there, the Lunar New Year and your chi. How your new year coming in is going to affect your chi, and your chi is going to affect your new year, right?
Yes, yes, definitely. You can do so much with energy.
Mm-hmm.
When you understand, and this is what I want to teach many people who, for example, take a Reiki level 1 and 2 seminar on the North American continent in 2 days. What they often don't understand, they give their own energy. You're never giving your own energy. I could do energy healing for 24 hours straight without sleeping, and I would be more energized
Mm-hmm.
than I would before, because I am channeling energy. That's the most important thing. You are not losing your own energy. In contrary, the more you channel energy for another person and help another person, the more energized you feel yourself. And that's how I feel after coaching or counseling sessions. It's such a reward when the person I'm working with is feeling better and is leaving my practice with a new hope. This is so rewarding that I feel healthier than before.
Yeah.
Just because the person feels healthier.
So, Monica, give me an example of what somebody goes through when they come to you.
There are different things, but they all boil into trauma. So, for example, I remember one lady in Manitoba who was already, because sometimes you always think of younger people, but she was over 17. She was retired already, and she came because somebody recommended me. And she said she has migraines, and those migraines drive her crazy. And whatever drugs or pharmaceuticals she takes, it can never really help her. And she's not able to do anything during the day. She just lies in bed and prays that this goes over with. And uh, I'm very intuitive. I'm an intuitive counselor. I connect with the energy field of the other person. And my first question always is, so since when do you have those symptoms? And she told me that it happened since her mother's death. And then I know there is something around her mother's death that's traumatic. I just know it. And I said to her, so what happened? And first of all, people often don't want to talk about it. You can see that there is an underlying cause, because they are choking up and they get tears in their eyes, and they oh, it's already in the past. I don't want to talk about it. But you can't put anything in the past and just bury it, because it boils up again. And so I convinced her to talk about it. And she had been with her mom and caring for her mom to the last breath. But she left the room for 5 minutes. And in those 5 minutes, the mom had died. And I just asked her one question. I said, so did your mom have migraines? And she said, yes, all her life. So we did a healing ritual. Of course, it's difficult to put it into 5 minutes now in an interview, but in the end, it was that I guided her to meet her mom. So she had to close her eyes, and I guided her through a process to meet her mom, and the mom was fine with her not being there. The mom told her, I chose this moment because I just wanted to be alone and leave alone, and it has nothing to do with you. And so in the end, I let her also give back the migraine and say to the mom, it belongs to you, not to me. And as we have forgiven each other now, and we are connected in heart with our hearts again, I can give it back to you, and I can be free of migraines. And she became free of migraines. So that's, in a nutshell, a healing process.
Is there are there some people that like, is there a group of people that you just find it very difficult to work with? You have to have a little bit of an open mind when they come to you, right? I mean, you can't be somebody who's shut-minded and you're like, you know what, this doesn't have to do with drugs, so it's not going to work,
You
right?
know, the funny thing about this lady was she didn't want to come. I was recommended to her, and she was pretty like,
Hmm.
I sit back, this won't work. And in the end, she said to me, I would have never thought that this works and that you can make me cry, because I haven't cried for over 10 years. So
Wow.
yes, in a way, they have to be a little open, but sometimes they open up when they come, even though they are first, I don't know.
So you're not going to differentiate. If somebody comes in, you're going to say, you know what, we're going to do this. You
Yes.
know, skepticism, damn me, no matter if you're skeptical or not, we're going to give it a try. If it works, or when
Yes.
it works, you're going to see what we're talking about.
Yes, exactly. And often, I don't know if I can say I have a way with people, but they very I can build rapport very quickly and have people trust me. And this is a thing I always say I should have noticed back then when I was a young girl or a teenager, because people, they poured out their hearts to me, and I just listened or held hands or didn't even say something, but people always came to me and poured out their hearts and their sorrows and everything. I don't know if it is a gift of God or something, but most people just open up with me.
We're now looking at your website, which is balanching.org. Once
Yes.
again, that's balanching.org. Such a beautiful, beautiful website. And this is just talking about,
The
you know,
transformation. The
there.
butterfly just stands for the transformation. And I always say, also in my Qigong classes, the butterfly is can only do it once. We can really do it every day.
Mhm.
And every new day is a new day. It's a blank page in the books of our lives, and we can write a new story. We can rewrite our story, and it's our story. We believe our story so much that we get prisoned prisoners of our stories. And if we can rewrite the story, if we can release those buried emotions, then we can break free. And then we can find the inner happiness again, the inner joy that comes from the heart, from reconnecting with ourselves, from becoming ourselves again, the core self, the diamond that's inside each of us, or the little spark that stays inside of us that we can rekindle, and then it becomes a fire and we become strong again and unstoppable and encouraged, and the peaceful warriors in our lives, and we can create life.
Stopped here on this page because I love these sound bowls.
Yes.
I think that there's a vibration that comes off of them that just really, they can hit that certain tone that where it does. You can feel stress drain off of you if you just open up a little bit and accept it to come in, you know.
Do
And
you have a sound bowl, by the way?
we do not. We do not. Adrienne has just as many crystals as she can possibly have. And get this story. Last night, a friend of hers brought over a voodoo doll, just because, they were doing some stuff together. And this friend of hers brought over a beautiful, beautiful voodoo doll. And our dog chewed it up this morning. So our dog might turn into a werewolf or something. We don't know. But our dog ate it this morning, and so if something bad happens to our dog, we know what it is. But
oh my goodness.
so
Well, about sound bowls, I took a course in Germany, and it was about sound bowl massage. And it's incredible if you have one of those sound bowls. There are certain spots where they can be placed on the body, and you bang them on the body, and you feel this vibration going through your body. It's amazing.
oh wow, it does sound cool. Yeah, we got I know that we were looking at buying one. There's a beautiful one in a little store, Blue Mountain Stone, which is heading up to Estes where we live. They've got a couple really beautiful ones. They got one that she really likes, but it sits on the ground and it's about 130 pounds. I don't think we're gonna put that on anybody.
Oh, wow.
That
No.
one I don't think we're gonna put on. I could probably handle it, me being the fat guy I am, but I don't think we're gonna be putting it on anybody else. So well, tell me this, Monica. What is the one thing that you would like to tell somebody if somebody walked up to you and they say, well, what would you want me to get after a couple sessions with you? What is the one thing you would like me to know after a couple sessions with you?
So first of all, people who come to me feel that there is something in life that keeps them stuck. There is something that doesn't work out, where you, let's say, in a relationship, the relationships don't work out. Or I remember in my late teenage years and beginning of 20s, I couldn't keep a job. I was so shy. I didn't have any self-confidence. I just could not keep up with the job. I would get in the afternoon at the job site, I would get stomach cramps, and I had to go home, and I lost one job after another. So there's some indicator that you are not living the fullest expression of yourself. And then people would come to me, or I would go to reach out for help. And can just say you can be the fullest expression of yourself. You can really break free from whatever it is. Is it your childhood trauma? Is it later trauma through an accident? Is it trauma through war? You can definitely break free. And the big secret, which sounds very, very easy, but isn't at all, is detaching the emotions from the event. That's the big secret. If you can think back to your childhood and you don't feel this stressed out feeling anymore, you don't you can look back to childhood, and on a scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is you don't have any emotions anymore, it's perhaps between a 0 and 1, it's fine. And when you can look back and you can see that your parents did the best they could at that time, and all the, I know we are on camera, so I shouldn't say the
You
SHIT
can you can
word.
yeah, you can
but
say
they
all the
were
bullshit. You can say it. We're okay.
they were dealing with their own shit, right?
Right.
They had trauma during wartime. My dad fled from the Russians. He lost his dad at war. So there is this trauma of our parents, and they did the best they can. And if you can then let go of this childhood and move forward, it's just detaching those freaking emotions, the hatred, the anger, the whatever it was that you have. I can't even imagine what it means to a soldier to see his best friend next to him blown to pieces next to him. I mean, I can't even imagine how horrible this must be. And especially when you are at war and you feel one in this troop. The troop is your family, and you feel one with another, and you take care of another, and you sit in the evening, you sit together, and you see the picture of the girlfriend of this man who sits next to you, and the next day this girlfriend will never see him again.
Mm-hmm.
And all this trauma, you can't even imagine. How would you ever be able to detach the emotion? But in a way, we can have our own hope, and we can release this survival guilt. Why would he be killed and I survive? I don't understand. I'm not special. Why would I survive, right? But there is just a way to free yourself and to enjoy life again. Although there has been so much trauma and pain, so much internal pain, but you can give all those people you lost, you can give them a new place in your heart, where they live on with you, and you can absolutely then find joy in life again. That's what I want. This is my mission. This is what I want to say, everyone. I wasted 30 years being sent from one conventional therapy to another until I finally was introduced to energy healing and found my way and found a quicker way where we can go into the subconscious, work with the subconscious, and release those buried emotions, those trapped emotions that hold us back from living our fullest life.
Your lessons can also help people who have suffered pain within childhood, abuse,
Yes.
um, many different types of abuse. And um, even items that maybe they don't remember exactly why they're hurting, but it can still help them, correct?
Yes, yes, they don't even, they often don't have to remember. I work a lot of with biofeedback, with asking the body. So I can ask the body, did this trauma occur between your birth and 5 years old? And who was involved? Was it your parents or caregivers or a nurse or whatever it was? And often then there comes back a glimpse. And sometimes we don't even need to know. I can even ask, do we need to know? And sometimes it says no, and then we can just release it. And there are certain points in the body that help us release trauma and buried emotions. There's, for example, a stress release hold where you put one hand on the back of your head and one hand on your forehead, and you just hold and you breathe deeply until this emotion dissolves, because an emotion is in motion. It doesn't stick with you, it dissolves again. So you can get rid of anxiety, you can get back into the present moment and breathe away anxiety with this hold. It's a very important hold.
I want to tell you, Monica, we are thrilled to have you as part of our team. I think it is, I think it's beautiful that you're, what you're doing, I think is fantastic. Like I said, if I would have been talking to you 2 years ago, I'm not sure if I would have understood a single word that you're saying, but now I understand a lot of it, being that it is the other half of my life, is what I say. But you can always reach out to Monica at Balanching Mindfulness Institute by calling her at 204-720-8161. Once again, that's 204-720-8161. Balanching at hotmail.com, and it's balanching.org. Did I get that all correct?
Yes, you got it all correct. And I have a YouTube channel where I offer free self-help tips. So there are a lot of things like the hold and breathing exercises, mantras, mudras, qigong, reiki, self-reiki. There are a lot of self-help tips on my page, and where I talk about communication styles and all sorts of stuff.
All right. And that page is called, is it Balanching?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The handle is at balanching. If you put in at balanching, you should be able to find me on YouTube.
Well, Monica, again, I am proud to be able to call you a sister. I am proud to welcome you to our family. I look forward to working with you to try to not only help grow your business, but really make changes in a lot of people's lives, and try to help a lot of people with their own self growth, and self recovery. It is true that every single one of us have some type of baggage that can bring us down if we don't get ahead of it. And I think that the program that you're putting together, that you're working on, I think is a great way to get started. So I thank you very much.
Oh, I thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to working with you as well.
Well, again, this was Monika Lux, and you can get a hold of her at 204-720-8161. One last time, that's 204-720-8161. And you can reach out to her on, there is a place for to contact her on her website, balanching.org. That's balanching.org. Or you can just send her an email to balanching hotmail.com. Again, thank you, Monika, and we will talk to you very soon, okay?
Thank you very much, Zach.